that social inequality was natural or human subjection inevitable. She inherited many isms and ists from her ancestors, political and philosophical tools for building equality and democracy in a Britain that at the time of her birth was deeply undemocratic. All women and the majority of working men were denied the right to vote and so prevented from enjoying full citizenship in their homeland. Never baptised, Sylvia was instead plunged in infancy into a distinctively British secular home brew fermented from radical liberalism. Mancunian socialism and materialist Marxism, diluted with a trace of incorporeal Methodism, whispering the possibility of transcendence for the perpetually struggling soul. Her mother was an atheist, her father agnostic. The Pankhursts were not Christian socialists, radical reformist Jews, Hindu nationalists, or secular cultural Muslims, but many of their friends and in their milieu were, and these strongly influenced the family. Hers was in many ways an eccentric childhood, though with a Victorian domestic regimen built on large daily doses of character-building, discipline and porridge. Self-mastery, mental toughness and fearsome physical and intellectual courage featured among Sylvia's defining adult characteristics. Porridge she abhorred for life, an unfortunate aversion since she was to serve more sentences in Holloway prison than any other suffragette. The best-selling Australian writer Stella Miles Franklin, author of the international feminist hit My Brilliant Career, understood her friend's popular appeal. Sylvia Pankhurst is slender and girlish in appearance, just the sort of typical English girl that one sees reading a love story on the Underground or riding a wheel bicycle about the suburbs. In her youth, Sylvia's big blue eyes, clear skin and abundant fair hair gave the misleading impression of blonde ethereality. Stella Franklin knew, like many others, that this belied the steely metal that lay within the 5'4" frame of her friend. Though she was of average height, many people perceived Sylvia as being much taller. Judging by the voluminous number of descriptions they inspired, it was Sylvia's large and expressive blue eyes, framed by luxuriant eyebrows, and her voice that most compelled. Her eyes were described as, at times, soulful and compassionate, at others, fierce, flashing and piercing. Adela, who thought Sylvia had a horse face, regarded all this attention to her charisma as ridiculous guff. She wrote, with eye-rolling contempt, about her sister's long face and sharp, shrill voice. Interestingly, Sylvia's youthful self-portraits capture something of the otherworldliness that people said they saw in her. By her mid-50s, she had become notably striking. Howard Costa's 1938 photographic portraits show her with an androgynous bobbed crop and the much lived-in face of an authoritative international stateswoman. Sylvia was an extraordinarily gifted speaker. Above all else, it was her voice that persuaded, intrigued, or infuriated. From tentative beginnings when she stood on a chair in the pouring rain, nervously addressing a handful of stragglers, her voice grew to become an instrument of activism as vital as her pen and the printing presses of her newspapers. Radio recordings of her speaking sound to us now not like archaic communications from a different world, but modern, grounded, and true. Her accents and tones connect us to her story. A history of British class is in Sylvia's voice. It tells the techniques of a woman who has learned to command public space. Her voice makes you listen, not only because of her skills, but also because it isn't always clear where it might go. Between the layers of her original Mancunian accent and the received pronunciation drilled into her at the aspirational Manchester Girls' School, there is a musicality that is all her own. Sylvia's friend Nellie Cressall recalled, "Of course, we had a lot to put up with to begin with. We had everything thrown at us, rotten eggs, tomatoes, but Sylvia just went on speaking. You see..."